The summer air hung heavy with heat that night, thick and unmoving. In the quiet neighborhood of Willow Bend, the only sound had been the soft hum of crickets and the occasional creak of porch swings. That changed just after 11:30 p.m. The sky lit up in orange flashes. Smoke billowed upward. Flames danced from the windows of an old two-story house near the end of the cul-de-sac. Sirens had not yet arrived, but neighbors were already pouring into the street in robes and slippers, their faces pale in the firelight. "Someone call 911. "I already did. It's spreading fast." The fire roared louder, devouring dry wood like it had waited all summer to burn. But above the crackle of flames, another sound emerged, high-pitched, panicked, barking. It wasn't coming from inside the house, but from the backyard. Behind the collapsing porch and the rising smoke, a low, desperate howl echoed through the fence. A German shepherd, tied to a post with a short, rusted chain, the dog strained and pulled, its eyes wide with terror. Its fur was already singed near the tail, the heat blistering the ground beneath it. No one had known the house had a dog. Its owners had moved weeks ago, abandoning it without a word. Now it was trapped in a nightmare, but no one moved toward the flames. No one knew what to do, except one boy. 2 houses down, 12-year-old Eli watched from his bedroom window. His heart hammered as he saw the fire reflecting in the dog's eyes. He turned to his mother, who was already at the front door, shouting for help with a neighbor, and then back to the yard. The dog. No one had seen it, no one but him. Eli gritted his teeth, grabbed the metal cane hanging from the side of his wheelchair, and wheeled himself toward the door. He didn't ask for permission, he just moved. Down the porch ramp, across the sidewalk, toward the heat. "Eli!" someone shouted behind him. But he didn't stop. He reached the side of the fence, heart pounding, smoke stinging his eyes. The barking grew louder, more frantic. "I see you!" he shouted. "I see you, boy! Hang on!" With trembling hands, Eli jabbed his cane at the gate latch. It didn't budge. He slammed the cane harder, once, twice, until the latch snapped open with a clatter. The smoke rushed out like a wave. The fire was only feet from the back deck now. Through the haze, Eli saw the dog, its chain pulled tight, tongue lolling, panic in its every movement. Eli rolled closer, choking on the smoke. "It's okay. I'm here." He reached out, fumbling with the chain clasp. His fingers burned against the hot metal. The dog growled in panic, lunging away. But Eli didn't back down. "Look at me," he cried. "I'm not going to hurt you." For a second, the dog froze, just long enough for Eli to pop the clasp loose. The chain clattered to the ground. The German shepherd let out a sharp bark, turned to flee, then hesitated. Its eyes locked on Eli's. 1 second passed, then 2. The dog backed up, crouched low, and leapt over the broken fence, bolting to safety. But Eli had collapsed. In the rush of smoke, he'd lost his grip on the wheelchair and fallen to the dirt. He tried to crawl, coughing hard, arms trembling. That's when strong arms wrapped around him. A firefighter just arriving lifted him clear as the flames reached the yard. "You're okay," the man gasped, hauling him to the front lawn. Neighbors watched in stunned silence as Eli was laid gently onto the grass, and from the shadows near the tree line the dog stood, watching. Its chest heaved, its ears twitched, and in its eyes something stirred. Recognition, not of a name or a face, but of something deeper. Trust. The fire was out by morning. All that remained of the old house was a blackened skeleton of wood and ash. The neighborhood was quiet, the chaos replaced with whispers and murmurs. But amidst the scorched ruins, one question lingered. What would happen to the dog? Zeus, as someone had taken to calling him after the rescue, was temporarily kept in a wire crate near the fire truck that night. Animal control planned to transfer him to a shelter the next morning. No tags, no microchip, no records. He belonged to no one. Except Eli disagreed. He sat bundled in a blanket in the back of the ambulance, sipping juice, his mother clutching his hand. He had smoke in his lungs, a few scrapes on his knees, but his eyes weren't focused on the EMT. They were locked on the dog, pacing restlessly inside the crate, ears back, tail tucked. "Mama," Eli said quietly. "He can't go back to a cage, sweetheart," she whispered, brushing hair from his forehead. "We can't take in a dog. We barely manage now." "He saved me," Eli replied. "Let me save him too." His mother looked at the burned house, at her son's bruised fingers still clinging to hers, and at the dog who hadn't taken his eyes off the boy since the night before. By noon, the crate was in their living room. It was supposed to be temporary, a foster placement until a forever home could be found. But from the moment Zeus walked through the door, something began to shift. He didn't settle easily. At first, Zeus refused to eat. He paced the corners of the room, flinching at the creak of a door or the rattle of silverware. At night, he barked into the door, as if haunted by things no one else could see. Eli gave him space, but not silence. He wheeled beside Zeus's crate each day, talking about comic books, school, and the scary thoughts that sometimes crept into his mind. He read aloud from the same fantasy novel every night, his voice soft and steady. And on the third night, something changed. Zeus, instead of barking at the wind, lay down near Eli's feet, resting his head on the edge of the rug. He still wouldn't touch his food when anyone watched, but he stopped growling when Eli approached. A few days later, Eli tied a small silver bell to the side of his wheelchair. "It's so you know it's me," he explained gently. "Not the fire, not the bad stuff." That night, Zeus followed the sound from room to room, still wary, but no longer afraid. And then came the night Eli's body betrayed him. He had just gone to bed when the seizure started. Mild, but enough to alarm his mother. She was downstairs folding laundry when she heard the sharp bark. "Zeus!" One bark, then another, then a sudden loud shove of paws against her bedroom door. She dropped the clothes and ran, heart pounding. Zeus was already in Eli's room, pacing in a tight circle, barking toward the bed. Eli's mother rushed in and caught her son just as he started to slump forward. She eased him down, murmuring soft reassurances, reaching for the emergency medication. Zeus stayed beside her the entire time, his body low to the ground, ears pressed back, but his gaze never left the boy. When it was over and Eli lay quietly breathing again, his mother stroked the dog's head, tears in her eyes. "You knew," she whispered. "You knew before anyone else." Zeus said nothing, but he lay down beside Eli's bed, tail resting gently over his front paws, and didn't move for the rest of the night. From then on, Zeus never let Eli out of his sight, and Eli never stopped believing that even the most broken hearts could still find their way back to each other. By the time summer turned to fall, Eli and Zeus were inseparable. They moved like one being, wheels and paws, bell and breath. Eli's mother often joked that Zeus didn't follow Eli, he shadowed him, like a quiet guardian with fur and fierce loyalty. The progress was slow but steady. With Zeus at his side, Eli's therapy sessions became less frightening. His anxiety attacks, once a weekly battle, began to fade. He slept deeper, laughed more, even started trying to move his legs again, just to see if there was still something there. Zeus, in turn, transformed too. He learned to gently nudge Eli's wheelchair forward with his nose. He fetched toys, water bottles, even Eli's crumpled notebook from across the room. When Eli's breathing turned shallow, something that happened when he was overstimulated, Zeus would bark once, then sit with quiet tension until someone responded. And Eli had started writing again. Each night, he documented everything in a battered leather journal titled, in bold block letters, "Me and My Second Chance." The pages filled quickly. Sketches of Zeus, notes on his behavior, memories of the fire, new goals, hopes. "I think we saved each other," one entry read, "and I think that's how second chances work." But the real test came one cool Friday morning during a school field trip to Willow Creek Nature Reserve. Ellie's mom had hesitated when she got the permission slip. A hike through uneven trails, crowds of noisy classmates. It didn't sound safe, but Ellie insisted. "I've got Zeus," he said, "and Zeus has me." The first hour went smoothly. The teacher stayed close. Zeus trotted patiently beside the wheelchair. Kids pointed and smiled until they reached the overlook. The class gathered at the top of a wide grassy slope where a wooden railing looked out over the trees below. Most kids dropped their bags and ran to take selfies. Eli parked near the edge, watching the wind stir the leaves. Then it happened. One of the older students, a boy named Caleb, smirked and muttered something under his breath. Eli didn't hear it all, but he felt the hands on his chair. Just a gentle push. The wheels rolled forward, not fast, but too fast. The slope wasn't steep, but it was just enough. The gravel slipped beneath the wheels. Eli's hands scrambled at the brakes. The world tilted, and then Zeus. He was a blur of tan and black lunging across the trail. He threw his entire weight against the side of the chair, barking furiously. His paws dug into the dirt. His body braced. The wheels skidded up 1 inch from the edge of the wooden overlook. Eli gasped. His hands shook, but he was safe. Teachers ran over. Kids screamed. Caleb backed away, stammering. But no one was listening to him anymore. They were looking at Zeus. The dog stood tall, panting, his chest heaving, his gaze locked on Eli like nothing else in the world mattered. And Eli, his face pale but his heart thundering, reached down and wrapped his arms around Zeus's neck. "You saved me," he whispered. "Again." That night, the school's principal called Eli's mom directly. "I've never seen anything like it," she said. "That dog didn't hesitate. He knew." News of the incident spread quickly. The story reached the local news station. By Monday morning, students were calling Zeus the hero hound, and Eli was no longer the quiet kid in the chair. He was the boy with the dog who would do anything for him. And suddenly no one saw him as weak anymore, because everyone could see Eli had strength, and his strength had 4 legs, a tail, and a heart that never forgot who had set him free. The letter came on thick paper, folded neatly in a crisp white envelope. Eli's mother opened it at the kitchen table, reading in silence. Her brow furrowed. Her eyes flicked to Zeus, who lay curled beneath Eli's wheelchair, tail flicking softly with each page turn of the book the boy was reading. "What is it, Mom?" Eli asked, sensing the tension. She hesitated. Then she slid the letter toward him. "It's from a family in Dallas. They saw the news story about you and Zeus." Eli read slowly. The words sank deeper with each line. The Hendersons were a well-known philanthropic family. They funded therapy centers, trained emotional support animals, and had a mansion with open land, private veterinarians, and professional handlers. They wrote about how impressed they were with Zeus's instincts, how much potential he had. They wanted to adopt him, train him formally, make him a certified therapy dog for children with disabilities. They wrote that he deserved more than a backyard life. Eli didn't speak for a long time. Zeus stirred at his feet, lifting his head, sensing the stillness. "You okay?" his mom finally asked. Eli nodded slowly, then swallowed. "If it's what's best for him, I won't stop it." That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He sat up in bed, watching Zeus breathe, one hand resting on his soft fur. "He deserves everything," Eli whispered to the dark. "I just don't know if that means me." The Hendersons arrived 2 days later. They stepped out of a sleek black SUV, dressed in designer clothes, smiling with perfect white teeth. The woman knelt and extended a hand to Zeus. "He's gorgeous," she said. "So calm, so focused." Zeus sniffed her fingers politely, but his tail didn't wag. The man added, "We'll give him the best of everything. We have a team of trainers ready. His story will reach thousands." Eli, sitting quietly in his wheelchair on the porch, just nodded. "Thank you," he said softly. "Thank you for wanting him." His voice cracked, but he didn't cry. "If he wants to go, he can go." Zeus watched as the man opened the car door and patted the back seat. "Come on, boy," he coaxed. For a moment Zeus hesitated, then he moved. He stepped forward, slow and steady, and placed one paw inside the car. The woman smiled, gently reaching for the leash, but then Zeus froze. He turned his head, and in the silence between breaths he looked back. Eli met his gaze, trying to smile. "It's okay," he whispered. "I'll be okay." Zeus stared for another heartbeat, then stepped back. One paw, then the other. He backed out of the car and trotted straight to Eli. He rested his head in the boy's lap, letting out a low, contented sigh. The woman blinked, stunned. "That doesn't usually happen." Eli laughed quietly, tears finally spilling down his cheeks. "It's okay," he said again. "I guess he already picked his home." The Hendersons didn't argue. They offered their best wishes, left a donation to Eli's school, and drove away. Eli stroked Zeus's ears, overwhelmed and still trembling. "You could have had all of it," he murmured, "but you stayed with me." Zeus looked up, eyes calm and steady, and thumped his tail once on the porch floor. Because sometimes what looks like less from the outside is everything from the inside. And to Zeus, home wasn't marble floors or golden collars. It was a boy in a wheelchair who once ran into a fire just to say, "I see you." The story of Eli and Zeus caught fire in ways no one expected. Local newspapers ran headlines like, "Boy in wheelchair saves dog from blaze," "Dog returns the favor," and "The friendship forged in fire." Then came the TV stations. A reporter stood in Eli's backyard one afternoon, capturing shots of Zeus resting at his feet, while Eli told their story with a soft voice and a shy smile. It wasn't about the fire anymore. It was about healing, about courage, about love that asked for nothing and gave everything. Eli's mother, moved by the response, helped him start a small blog. They called it Second Chances with Zeus. What began as journal entries, photos, recovery updates, stories of little victories, soon grew into something bigger. People wrote in from everywhere: parents of children with disabilities, veterans with service dogs, former foster kids, animal rescuers. They sent letters, art, even pictures of their own rescued dogs, curled beside hospital beds or wheelchairs. Eli wrote back to as many as he could. "Zeus taught me I wasn't broken," he wrote in one post, "and maybe I can help others feel the same." With each passing year, Eli grew not just taller, but stronger. He began physical therapy again. At first just stretches, then short brace-assisted steps between bars. Zeus was always there, watching, always near. By the time Eli turned 15, he no longer flinched when people stared. He no longer hid in his room when things felt too hard. Instead, he and his mom began organizing monthly shelter days, visiting rescue centers, walking dogs, helping match abandoned pets with new families. Eli would smile every time he saw a scared dog curl beside a new child. He knew that look, that first flicker of trust. He'd lived it. And then came a warm spring afternoon, quiet, golden, peaceful. Eli sat on the back porch, the breeze ruffling his dark hair. In his lap was a worn notebook, pages filled with his tidy handwriting and sketched memories. On the cover, he had carefully written, "Zeus, my hero, my fire, my friend." Beside him, Zeus lay with his head on Eli's foot. His muzzle had grown wider over the years, his movements slower, but his eyes remained sharp, watchful, devoted. Eli turned a page, then paused as a small bark sounded behind him. From the side gate came a bounce of tan fur and floppy ears. A new puppy, fresh from the rescue that morning, barreling clumsily toward them with joyful chaos. The pup skidded to a stop and licked Eli's hand enthusiastically. Eli laughed, dropping the journal. "Hey there, buddy. You're a bit of a mess, huh?" He looked over at Zeus, raising a brow. What do you think? He's got a lot to learn." Zeus didn't lift his head, but his tail thumped softly, twice. Eli smiled and reached down, brushing his fingers along Zeus's back. "Yeah," he whispered. "I thought so too." And in that sun-drenched moment, surrounded by the echoes of everything they'd overcome, the boy and his dog, one who ran into fire, one who stood in it, sat side by side, ready to teach one more soul what it meant to be seen, to be safe, to be loved. And somewhere in the quiet, a new story began. Thank you for joining us on this unforgettable journey. The story of a boy who couldn't walk into a fire, but rolled in anyway, and a dog who had every reason to give up, but chose to stay, protect, and love instead. If this story moved you, made you smile, or reminded you of the unbreakable bond between human and dog, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Amazing Paws Stories, because here, we believe in second chances. We believe that heroes come on four legs, and we believe that the soft thump of a wagging tail can echo louder than words ever could. Until next time, stay kind, stay brave, and keep believing in the magic of paws.